So this is July the 3rd, and a few of us met to listen to, first of all, Di Clements was here to tell us how she's getting on with her chapter on Harrow Weald Common for the new Guide to London. And we're wondering whether we might do something to coincide with the publishing of that book in November. Maybe some actual physical walks along the Geo Trail, which could be advertised and would raise a little bit of local awareness of what we're doing. So that's a thought. And maybe tying in with local awareness is the point about whether we can look into having a pebble hunt or not. I don't know how feasible that is, but I will look into it and make some inquiries. It'd be a very low-key kind of summer holiday event that hopefully we would tie in with another organisation that's doing something and would like to do that. The most important part of the discussion has to be about whether we count the pebbles yet that are already in my garage. Knowing that Phil Collins is away and we can't go to Brunel at least until September, makes me think that it's worth going and looking. So we've had a look at the two slides of the two possible banks that we've discussed previously, where we're hoping there's a chance that it's an original surface. So the first thing I think we should do is arrange a trip to go out with some shovels and meet Jason Shorrocks, who is the warden on site at Harrow Weald Common, just to investigate what might be in those two banks. Is that right? That's what we're doing. So then we can think about whether it's feasible to collect to make a vertical section in one of those banks and collect a better sample before we do the counting. That's the plan, I think, that we've come up with today.
You're asking us to propose some dates to you as well.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Just a moment. We'll do that in a minute. Were you going to propose it now? But
no. That's one of the things you said earlier. I didn't want to lose it.
So in terms of dates for the various things I've mentioned, yes, it would be very helpful if everybody on the project could send me dates if they want to join in with any of these activities. But in particular, the day that we go to talk to Jason will depend on when Jason is free. The other thing that we want dates for is we've decided to do some research over the summer while we're waiting for everything else, because we're waiting to hear back from people. We don't have permissions from the SSSI. We haven't got permissions to take a mechanical rig onto the common. We haven't got Phil Collins around until September. So while we're waiting, we're going to do some research, and that's going to be actually physically going to the archives in Harrow, wherever we find them, to see what we can find out about the gravel digging in the past, the occurrence of gravel, the tile or brick making at the kiln, what materials they were using and collecting from the common. So everybody, it's kind of an all hands on deck. If anybody can find anything out and feed it in, send the details through, then we'll compile it. Alan and I are certainly keen to actually go into Harrow and meet with some archivists and see what they've got. Anybody else wants to come on that, we'll send you list of dates. That's actually that's the main points. Anything else to add that I've forgotten? I think I've been through my list, and that's the plan. It's just those things. So the investigation of the two banks with Jason Shorrocks on board, and the going to research, find LiDAR images, yes, online if you can, and also going to research the archives, and then to see whether we could start setting up some public engagement of any kind to get people aware and interested in what we're doing.
Okay.
Brilliant, isn't it? 3 things. No, not a big meeting this time, and yes, sorry about that. There was a bit of a hiatus over June while most people were busy doing lots of other things. Hayden, we're going to see you at the end of July.
Yes. Denham. In fact, I was putting final touches to a talk together earlier this morning. So yeah, I'll be down at Denham. Was it the 28th?
28th, it's a Friday.
I see people have to pay to come and listen to me.
That's right.
Which is a
£3.
shock to the system. Yeah, precisely. And I get to speak for half an hour. So yeah, we're just looking at the origin of the Chilterns and the Proto-Thames going through and the Colne Valley and what happened to it. So I'll be putting that together and presenting that as part of the festival down at the Denham Country Park on the 28th of July. So yeah.
And the rest of us and the rest of us at HHGS will be taking some putting together a little exhibition the same day, which is connected. So it's all connected up. We're calling it chalk connections because it'll be about chalk streams, flint, and other things that are connected in the area. The gravel pits, actually.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess everybody's welcome to get involved in that. And it'll be good to see people down there. It'd be nice to have an audience.
Is that going to be Zoomed, that meeting or that event?
Not that I know of, Mike. I think it's just it's taking place in there's a country park centre down in Denham.
Okay.
I think it's just been housed in the centre itself, from my understanding.
It's called the Colne Valley Park Festival.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, I think I'll have something put together by the time I get down there. That's my plan anyway.
That's good. Okay, well, thanks everyone for coming today, and I'll make the next meeting possibly at the end of July or beginning of August, if that's all right, and I'll make it a Monday again.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Cheers, Liz. All good.
Okay, everyone. Bye then. Cheerio.
Bye.
Bye. Does anyone else have anything they wanted to say before we disappear?
One titchy thing, if I may.
Yeah, please do.
You've talked of the collection of pebbles, the 4 bags in your garage. Now, my limited understanding is that the matrix with the pebbles can be better for some purposes, including dating. So, whereas I agree pebbles is a good shorthand and gravel is a good shorthand, and that's the correct name, am I right in thinking that strictly when we collect from a profile, we ought to be taking the sand and any other material?
Yeah, I think that's correct, yes.
That's a great question, Will.
So they do optical luminescence dating, I believe, from sand grains and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Is there also the heavy metal, not heavy metal, heavy mineral analysis, which I think
that's another thing.
Yeah. That's from the finer material.
The question is whether the finer material in the current sample is genuinely from Stanmore gravel or not, and we have no way of knowing that.
I think you do. Surely, as Hayden was saying, if we collected the slide 6 and the slide 14 samples, as I understood him, he was saying if you put those two alongside each other, if they are Stanmore gravel proper, then you would expect them to be similar in many respects. If they were just the result of somebody shoveling something from somewhere to somewhere, then you wouldn't see equivalence. So I would have thought going ahead with the slide 6 and the slide 14 sites would be an excellent first step.
Yeah, that's right. But what I was referring to was the 4 sacks full of stuff in my garage, which is definitely messed up. I can only say 100% it's not a clean sample. It is, in fact, not only has it moved from a higher elevation and slid down the slope over time, but it's also been completely messed up by the people who dug the ponds. And it is a load of gravel, but it's not a sample of Stanmore gravel, really. So I don't think the matrix. So what I was, just to fill you in, Will, when we collected that sample, we sieved out most of the metrics and left it behind. So I don't think it really matters because it's such a messed up sample anyway. And really, they're just interested in what they're looking for is, are there any lower greensand chert pebbles? Yeah. They're looking for specific things which you can answer just by counting the pebbles.
Yeah, yeah.
So that's the sample that's in my garage at the moment. It might be indicative. If we find some lower greensand chert, it might tell them something. That's all. That's as far as we can go with it. But
well, that makes it valuable then, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there might be other things that we could find out that might be valuable from the pebbles.
Yeah.
Is there funding for those other tests that we were just talking about, the heavy mineral and the one that Alan mentioned, optical something?
If there is, it would be from Phil Collins, because he does have he had some funding, but that actually had to be spent by the end of June. So I don't think we've caught that. But I think he quite often does have bits of funding that could be applied to the project. So yes, there's that. We haven't yet started to apply for the things that Hayden said through the GA. There's the Curry Fund. They would give us some money. But until we know what we want the money for, I haven't set out about applying for it. We don't even know we're going to get a decent sample yet. Sort of one step at a time, isn't it? But if we do, yeah, that's right. If we can get a decent sample from one of the banks, then we should get Curry Fund money to pay for some specific tests on the matrix, as you say, Will, and everything, all of that. It will be done anyway at Brunel, and Phil's quite happy to do some tests for us. I don't know what costs he incurs if he just runs some tests through his lab. He hasn't told me yet.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, thank you, Will, for coming. It's been really, really good to have you along, because I think we're really all very interested in the historical side and your stories of what you can find out and tell us about your grandfather and great grandfather.
Yeah,
would feed into the project, and it's what I'd like to put on the website, is something that people can relate to, so get people interested.
Well, you've challenged me. Thank you for the warmth of your welcome, and I know exactly where the files will be, which will tell me, census returns, birth certificates, and that sort of thing. I will, as and when I get the chance, I will dig that out. I will compile that chunk of family history, trying to make it, for example, suitable to go on a website or, in any sort of record. I mean, all I know is that my great-grandfather was a gravel getter, and I have a photograph of him in old age sitting with a pint of beer outside the Hare at the end of Old Reading.
Oh, wow. Oh, that's perfect.
Well, exactly. Here is a guy who can be named.
Yeah.
No, he was. We've got the
name and a face. Name and a face.
It holds together. It's tiny family history.
It's true. It's a story of a gravel getter. I can see it already. It's up there.
Well, I'll leave others to fabricate the story for maximum publicity and to create an income stream.
I don't think there'll be any income
Well,
screen.
no,
Just
no.
adds to.
Yeah.
Hopefully, it'll get people interested. That's all.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Good. Thank you.
Really
Thank you.
pleased. Thanks for coming along. Nice to see you, Mike, again, and keep in touch with
Will
what
do.
you're doing.